Welcome to Wii Vault, a series on this channel where I take a look back at old Wii games, see if they're good, if they hold up today, and if they should come back. Today's guest, Bakugan Defenders of the Core. Bakugan Defenders of the Core is a stealth game, surprisingly, with the main event being these kaiju structured defense battles, with some multiverse shenanigans before it was mainstream. This game was released October 26th, 2010, released to obviously the Wii, as well as the DS, PS3, PSP, and Xbox 360. Developed by Now Productions, published by Sega for Japan, and then Activision for everywhere else. So let's dive into the game itself, starting off with the game starts off with your created player doing a training session with Dan and Marucho in a simulator that Marucho made. But while you're doing that, something goes wrong, and somehow you are teleported into a new dimension, a parallel dimension. I think it's a reveal at some point that you're in a new dimension very early on, like within the first stage it's revealed, but it doesn't do anything story-wise, so I'm not going to build it up and give it any suspense. You're in a new dimension. But there we see Dan and Marucho of this dimension fighting the Vexos, the evil enemy group of this world. And the Vexos are using these giant crystals to clone Trap Bakugan and take away the Brawler's ability to brawl, which they do to Dan and Marucho, causing Elfin, Marucho's signature Bakugan, to get captured and Drago to flee. Your character then meets Drago of this dimension, and Drago guides you back to Dan and Marucho. There, the Vexos try to use the crystal on you, but since you're from a different dimension, it doesn't work on you for some reason, so you battle the Vexos, win, and get Elfin back, now becoming a battle brawler. So most of this game is just this loop of like fighting Vexos, finding the battle brawlers, saving the battle brawlers from the Vexos, getting the battle brawlers signature Bakugan, being able to use it yourself, fighting Vexos, repeat. That's all the game is, mostly. But during this story loop, the player character finds out that he can see and hear and talk to this physical embodiment of this world's core, and finds out that the Vexos crystals are hurting said core. Then, once you get all of the battle brawlers back together, you go and fight Spectra, the leader of the Vexos. There, you fight him and his signature Bakugan, Helios, with Drago, and win. But then, he activates Max's Helios, which is Helios with a bunch of Trap Bakugan attached to it, and beats Drago. Then, one of the battle brawlers, Mira, picks up Drago and gives it to Spectra, revealing that they had a deal together that if she gave Spectra Drago, he would go back to being her brother. Dum bum bum. Huge twist. Obviously, he doesn't hold up to his end of that. He just grabs Drago, laughs evilly, and leaves. And she's distraught. I don't know what she thought was going to happen. I don't know what she thought he wanted Drago for, because it's like she thinks that, oh, if I give him Drago, he'll stop being evil. He'll just have Drago, someone else's Bakugan, but not be evil. Obviously, he's going to get Drago to go do shit with. Why, Mira? You're an idiot. So she becomes very apologetic to the rest of the battle brawlers, realizing her mistake, and they just forgive her like that. Which, like, no, she betrayed them all, gave their enemy the most powerful Bakugan they have, and they're all like, it's fine? No, it's not fine. She was an idiot. Betrayed you, lied to you, betrayed your trust, gave away a sentient creature to a person. She trafficked him. Like, that, none of this was okay. They forgave her way too easily, but we move on. Oh, actually, hold on. Before we do, she does reveal his name, his actual name. Keith. Fucking takes away all of his aura. just knowing we're battling a dude named Keith the whole time. But then you pretty much cycle through fighting all of the Vexos again, until you then get to fight Keith again. And he uses Drago, which is clearly being like mind controlled somehow, some way. Like he's just gone full animal mode. Like he doesn't speak, he just roars. Lost his personality in this moment. You fight him, you beat him, you get him back. And Keith just runs off to the core. But Marucho then finds a trap Bakugan. Because actually throughout this whole game, Marucho kept finding these different trap Bakugan. He finds this final one that'll allow you to do Max's Drago. So, you follow Keith down to the core, where Maxos Helios is near it. You activate Max's Drago, and a fight begins. But then Helios begins absorbing the core into himself, so the core tells the player character he has to destroy the core. To save the planet, to not let Helios get all powerful, he must destroy the core. Which he does, beating Max's Helios in the process. So Spectra's defeated, who then gets redeemed because Mira wants it to, essentially. Cut your family toxic member. Cut your toxic family members off. I mean, Mira, what are you doing? Just, like, no conversation, really. She's just, like, ready to be Keith again, and he's like, fuck, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So, yeah, I guess. But then the core is reborn, essentially, in all of the Bakugan, and all of the brawlers' ability to brawl has come back now. But then the, like, cavern underground area that they're in starts to collapse. So they start to book it out of there. And then the game pretty much ends with the player character going back to his original dimension, right? Forgot it was multiverse? Yeah. But goes back. Dan and Marucho see him. They're like, hey, well, what happened? Because I guess in their dimension, he was only gone for like a short period of time. But he comes back. All that just happened, definitely across multiple days. And he's like, I'm ready to brawl again. Take a rest, dude. Sleep a little. Like, that was crazy. But he's ready to get back into it. And that ends the game. All right, but for my honest opinion on the story, I have to give it like a 2 out of 10. It sucked. It was not good. It's super repetitive, for starters. Just there's a loop of doing the same shit over and over again. Nothing interesting happens. Some plot holes, or at least underdeveloped ideas. It was just bland more than anything else. Yeah, 2 out of 10. So when it comes to the arts for this game, the most important thing obviously is the Bakugan. How did the Bakugan look? And honestly, I think they look pretty good. All of the main Bakugan look like their TV show counterparts. Really good designs. And then the trap Bakugan, I actually liked like way more than I thought I would. There's some really good like cannon fodder design Bakugan. My favorite probably being like the Subterra and Kylosauruses that are kind of running around. I know they're not like crazy unique, but I just like them. Simple as that. But yeah, all the Bakugan look really good. The characters themselves, again, I mean, they look like their TV show counterpart. Check. Like, it's just a minor thing that you have to do for things to make sense, but they do it. They do it pretty well. But the environments in this game are very lackluster. It's just boring. It's like a boring city, or like the most generic, like lava pit area. Mostly cities, some like small towns, more like vibe. But just very, hey, we needed to be in some environment, so we just threw up what we could as quickly as we could, is what it seems like. So, yeah. Oh, especially in the final fight, where they're just like in this underground rock cavern, and the core itself is just like this crystal ball almost, this orb almost. It's like very boring, very disappointing. But finally, I will say the music does do a really good job of amplifying whatever mood it needs to be, mostly just amping you up for fights. So it does a really good job of that. It definitely, the show's theme song is also present in this game, and it's one of the best theme songs I think I've ever heard. So that's going to be a win, obviously. But the music's really good in this game. So for the final score for the arts, I think I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10, with the Bakugan, like hard carrying. The environments were that bad. And again, like the characters, sure they look like them, but like that's kind of it. Like it's not even like everything looks like how it should, but nothing extra added to it. So 6 out of 10, best I'll give it. Alright, so the gameplay in this game is split up in 2 sections. The Bakugan battles, obviously, and then these like stealth sections. So I'll start off with these stealth sections that are like how you get to the Bakugan battles, because it's the most surprising section of the game. I think to start off, how I'll summarize it best is it felt like in Ocarina of Time, when you're like sneaking past the guards in the beginning, like near the beginning of the game to get to Zelda for the first time. That whole sequence is how most of this game ended up feeling like. Which, like, in a lone, isolated section in Ocarina of Time, great. Here, okay. Random from seeing the TV show to playing the game. But let's get into the specifics of like what you do here. In this game, you sneak past Vexo's guards, robots, cameras, and like these fences, all to get to the crystals, like I said. And they show you the red eyesight, the red lines of like where the eyesight is that could get you captured. So all you really do is just walk carefully till you get to where you got to go. More specifics about the different forces that can capture you. Starting off with the Vexos, guards, and robots. The guards are the most simple ones. Those ones are walk around in a specific pattern. You can distract them by throwing a Bakugan in this game. And then the robots are essentially the same, where they walk around in a designated like pattern. The difference is you can't distract them by throwing a Bakugan. Some of them you can like deactivate or launch off by hitting this big red button on their back with a Bakugan. But they're very similar, the two. Some of the robots don't have that back button. You can't get rid of them. You just have to move around them. Some of them you can. The cameras, they're stationary and they just move their eyesight around. So you just gotta maneuver around it. Can't do anything to deal with them. And then there's these fences that if you walk through, you get caught. So usually either they direct you towards a certain path or they flicker on and off or rotate on and off. You just have to time it, go through. Sometimes the fences will have a button you can throw a Bakugan and press to deactivate the fence and move forward. And then this game has something called Vexos cards, which are like get out of jail free cards if you get captured. If you get spotted, it uses it up, you're safe, you stay in the exact same spot. You have like a small window of like undetectability, and you can just kind of walk through after using it. And they give you a lot of these cards, so I actually can't tell you what happens when you get caught without one, because through the whole gameplay I was stocked up, used a couple through the game, but never got caught without one. So I don't actually know what happens when you don't. I can only give an educated guess, and my guess is you just get sent back to the very beginning of the stage. The only other thing I could throw in is possibly you lose some energy, but even then I kind of doubt that. I'll get into the energy later in the gameplay section. But that's essentially it. And then there's other gadgets that you can use to help you move around and get past all these guards, because at some point in this game, some things will be invisible, some guards can go invisible. You have to use these special goggles to see these invisible things that could get you caught. And that uses up an energy as well. Different energy from earlier. There's currency energy, and then there's like the energy of these gadgets. Separate things. I'll get into the energy currency later. But anyways, they have an energy that they use up until they're drained. And then there's also this, like, I think it's supposed to be like a belt or something that you're wearing, but you can go invisible, go through everything just fine. It also uses up energy to fuel up on energy of both of those things. There will just be these random energy wells throughout the stage. You stand on, energize back up. You just do all that to get through to the crystal. But while you're looking through, there's two different things you can get here that are pretty important. And it's the most important part about this whole section. It's the only reason it has any use, because it's not fun to do. But you can get core energy. That's the currency one I was talking about. And there's like boxes here with items in there. I'll start off with the core energy. It's just kind of like, it's almost like the breadcrumbs that you follow to move forward, to know you're moving forward. Get the energy. Different colors have different amounts usually. Like red's the biggest one, then yellow, then blue's the real common one. To get to some of the red ones sometimes maybe you have to throw a Bakugan, because Bakugan can get the energy for you, but you just get the energy to help you later on in fights, which I'll get to when we get to the Bakugan battles. And then the other thing is the chest. You go through the whole stage looking for these chests, and inside the chest there's Bakugan figurines, which are just collectibles. Boring. Vexos cards, somewhat useful. And then ability cards. This is where you get ability cards in this game. Those are definitely useful. Those are definitely going to be helpful. So you want to get all the ones you can. Get through all the chests you can. But one thing this game does that I do appreciate and I will applaud it for is that when you go to the pause screen, it will tell you how many chests are in this stage, how many you have gotten. So it doesn't waste your time of like, oh, did I get all the chests? It'll let you know if you got all the chests or not, which is good because, other collectibles in games, it's like part of the incentive of exploring, but the other part for other games is like, well, it's fun to explore. You want to explore the world, so you do that. Like Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild, you're not like, okay, let's just slug through the world to get to shrines, to get to Korok seeds. Like, no, you want to explore the world because it's awesome. Here, the world isn't fun to explore at all. It's just a grind to get through. So they let you know, okay, you got everything. You can continue the actual game. So I appreciate that. Now, finally, Bakugan battles. So there's like two different types of battles, mainly. There's like landmark defense battles. Vexos are trying to take down landmarks. So your goal is to fight them off, save the landmark. That's that mission. And then I think the other one is like crystal destroying ones, where like the whole point is just to destroy the Vexos crystals that are up. Pretty simple, the two main modes. Besides like the Helios boss fights, those are the two modes. Because the Helios boss fights, it's just a 1v1 fight between Bakugan. So that's a little different. So I guess there's three modes, but for the majority of this gameplay, there's two modes for the battles. But before battle even starts, you have like the briefing screen where it shows you where the crystals are going to be, where the landmark's going to be, and the attributes of the Bakugan you're going to fight. So here you can select your Bakugan. You know what attribute you're going to fight, so you can pick an attribute that's going to be strong against it. Pick that Bakugan. Upgrade the Bakugan using Energy Core. There's different upgrades, mostly just like speed, combos, like ability card length, like how long they last. And then you have your Bakugan. And then the other thing that's in this screen is you can purchase, using Core Energy, holograms. And these holograms just like distract the Bakugan, like either from the landmarks or from yourself, and you can use the landmark or the hologram to heal on. So they're pretty important, and the holograms themselves can also have attributes attached to them. So you can pick an attribute that's strong against what you're fighting, so it resists the damage from them coming in, so they last longer. Pretty important thing to do. But yeah, so the attributes, you need to know it tells you which ones are stronger. It'll say like strong against this, weak against that. So you don't have to have it memorized, but keep an eye out on the attributes because it is important. Holograms last so much longer when they are resistant to what's attacking them. And the fight's easier, obviously, if you have an attribute advantage. The attribute, like, chart circle is, I'm going to have to read this. Pyrus is strong against Darkus. Darkus is strong against Heos. Heos is strong against Subterra. Subterra is strong against Ventus. Ventus is strong against Aquas. And finally, Aquas is strong against Pyrus. Then, for the actual in-game combat, it is A for light attack, B for heavy attack, C to block, Z to either jump, dash, or fly, depending on the Bakugan. All of them can jump, and then whether it's a dash or a fly, I think is dependent on which Bakugan you choose. To use ability cards, it's plus or minus. Oh, You know what? I forgot to mention it. For the ability cards, back in the briefing, when you pick your Bakugan, you can also select which 2 ability cards you want to use. I think each Bakugan has a total of 4 you can unlock, but you can only use 2 in battle. So you got to make your decision on how you want to play, because ability cards do different things, how you like to play, which ability cards you should use. But it's plus or minus when in battle to activate them. And then it's down on the D-pad to do a projectile, and you can hold down on the D-pad to do like a charge projectile, which is more powerful and it can't be blocked. Other projectiles can't be blocked. And then it's up on the D-pad to alternate where the camera is facing, like what it's locked onto. The camera is automatically locked onto something at the start of the fight. The camera's always locked onto something. You can't unlock it. The camera in this game sucks so bad. It is infuriating. Because you can't lock onto anything behind you. When it alternates, it only alternates between what's in view. So if you're doing like a crystal destroy one and you want to lock onto the crystal but it's behind you, you have to walk backwards, which is slow as hell, opening up 2 attacks till it's eventually in eyesight to then switch to. Crystals are quick to destroy too. This should be a quick thing. But the game wants to make it not. Oh my god, that sucks. That is a terrible mechanic. I need to be able to switch targets properly. You have no control of the camera, essentially. You have a slight say, I guess. But any game that's like 3D, operating in a 3D space, and you don't have access to the camera is always so annoying to me. Definitely one of my biggest video game pet peeves. If it's 3D, give me access to the camera. Or just change the format of the game if you can't do that. Pretty much. It's just, you were slower, it was easier to get hit, it's much easier to dodge these attacks around when you're flying, and in this game, when you get hit, you're just immobilized. You get comboed very easily. It was so annoying. The amount of times you just felt helpless sitting there, watching the Bakugan you're playing as just get the shit beat out of them because you cannot move at all. Hello, I'm shooting too! Oh my god, I can't move. I can't move. Look. And it would flash like C on screen to block, and I'm fucking hitting C and it's not doing anything. So I don't know why it has this pop up when like 10% of the time it worked. Oh, it's a skill issue. It's a skill issue. Shut up. No, it wasn't. Game sucks. I need to be able to get there. You can't have them whittle away at lightning speed the health of the landmark. That it's game over if one of them is destroyed. And have me unable to move, close any gap, and when I get there, do tiny damage. I do no damage when I fucking get there. I use a whole ability card for a quarter damage on these things. This sucks, and I can't control the camera, so I can't even lock on to where I need to go to get there faster, because I'm hindered by speed on 2 fronts. The base character speed, he cannot move. And then the way the camera is set up, it makes it even harder for him to move because he's moving backward. He's slow going forward, twice as slow going back, and the camera forces me to go backwards because it can't lock on to what needs to get locked onto. Why? So this camera that wouldn't move around and the amount of times you were just immobile in this game made the combat really, really bad, unbearable at times. It sucked a lot of the times. So everything considered, I'm giving the gameplay for this a 2 out of 10. It was fun at times, especially early on, so I won't go to a 1. But Dude, I was getting so pissed at the end. I think it deteriorated my memory of the rest of the game. Because as it went on, these problems just increased. Especially when Drago was captured and you couldn't play as him. There's 2 flying Bakugan. You have to play as a flying Bakugan to do anything. And there's 2 of them. Out of, I think, 6 playable ones. I think you get one of each attribute. So there's 2 playable ones out of 6. Illusion of choice. The illusion of choice. It's a coin flip on who you should play as. Okay, so like always in these videos, I like to go over the voice cast. Starting off with the player character, voiced by Darren Jennings. Couldn't find a picture of him. Not even on IMDb, faceless. And his number 1 thing on IMDb was barista number 2 in The Room. I'm not going to find a picture of that either, just because I'm not going to scroll through The Room trying to squint my eyes and see who barista number 2 could be. Dan was not voiced by his TV show voice actor. He was voiced by Awab Bukhari, also no face on IMDb. He voices Naja in Sands of Destruction. Has 3 total credits on IMDb, including this game. And then here we get to Marucho, who is Melissa Hutchison. Clementine from Telltale's The Walking Dead. Huge difference between the first 2. I mean, if you haven't played that game or seen someone play that game, check it out. My recommendation, if you don't want to play it yourself, watch Berlizzi play it. But yeah, that's great. That's awesome. Drago was Brian Sommer, who was Pete in Telltale's The Walking Dead. Cool. And then Ace was Gavin Hammonds. Kenny from Telltale's The Walking Dead. Just, they must have met here and then said, you know what, let's all just get a quick job together. Hop on over and do this. And then Helios was Roger Jackson, probably the most known voice actor, I think, on this list, potentially. He voices Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls. Oh my god, I remember as a kid just loved sitting around just going, Mojo Jojo, repeatedly to myself. And then honestly, a lot of this rest of this voice cast didn't really have any other work, or didn't have anything I recognized like in any capacity, so that's all I'm going to highlight here. We move on to the final piece.
What are you gonna do? The odds are stacked against you. Back against the wall, gotta give it your all. This is the final stand. The power's in your hands. 2 worlds collide on the inside. You gotta fight for what's right before it's gone, gone, gone. This is Backugan.
I do not like this game. I started off liking this game, but man, did that go away really fast. The story of this game was bad, but it's such a small part of it. It's not really even, I don't think it's that big of a deal, so I could stomach that being bad. The arts are good in some ways, like the Bakugan design, bad in others, like the level design. But this game just needed good gameplay to be enjoyed. Just fun kaiju fights, essentially. And it just didn't have that. Due to the restrictive movement of the game, you need a flying Bakugan to function. There's only 2. Then you could have some fun comboing around, trap Bakugan, or destroying crystals, but then the camera will get in the way and ruin any fun you could potentially have. Also, I think I forgot to mention the NPCs in this game, the random ones that you just kind of see during the stealth missions, have terrible line delivery because you can talk to them. I think it's just like the programmers hopped on the mic and weren't maybe comfortable on it. I don't know, but this is what it sounded like.
I heard the Vexos were digging around the ancient ruins. Take this and leave a man in peace.
I keep trying to get by, but there are too many Vexos.
I think those were usually lifeless. I mean, the music was cool, I guess. But yeah, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. I mean, this game was bad. I think 1 out of 10 is reserved for games I just can't stomach to get through at all. I did finish this game. 2 out of 10s, maybe games that have zero fun parts. Like, there were still some decent bits in this game. Early combat, fighting around at times was fun. But yeah, overall, I have to give this game a 3 out of 10. But let's go ahead and check out the next game in this series.
We thought it was over. We thought our planet was safe. We thought wrong.
The Earth will be mine.
Nobody messes with my planet.
Really looking forward to that one. Subscribe to check that one out. Go ahead and like this video if you made it this far. If you've played this game and you have some thoughts on it, comment down below your own opinion on it, what you agreed with most that I said, what you disagreed with most. But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep gaming.